Close your eyes and think back to the time when you saw somebody that needed help and nobody helped them. Now think back to what you could have done to help that person. Every day, we encounter people that we could help in one way or another. Have you ever wondered what you could do to help somebody? Like the time I see the kid sitting by himself and I ignore him. Or when I see the kid that looks sad in the hallway and I don't even say hello. Many times I've gone home and thought back to what I could have done throughout the day, and I just become overwhelmed with grief and disappointment in myself. You see, I didn't live a purpose-driven life. What does it take to have a life full of purpose? We have to strive to be all that we can be, to do all that we can do, and love with all that we have. We all need help sometime in life. Many of us turn to our family and friends, while others turn to complete strangers. To be honest, I've needed help many times in my life. When I was a freshman, my life wasn't good at all. My girlfriend had just broken up with me right after Christmas. I missed out on the Fort Worth Steel sale, and then I got the worst news of my life. My friend, my Pa, and I were coming home from Houston when Pa got a phone call. All of a sudden, he got real quiet, and when he hung up, I said, "What was that about?" He told me not to worry about it, so I continued talking to my friend. We got to Canadian, Texas, and dropped my friend off, and as he drove away, Pa turns and looks at me and says, "Sheldon, your mom lost the baby." I was confused. How do you lose a baby? It's got 2 arms, it's got 2 legs, it walks around. You can't lose that. No, Sheldon, the baby died. Your mama is gonna have a stillborn. Instantly, my life went into a tailspin. I held strong to my family's face while the rest of my life went downhill. I didn't care about what I did. I didn't pay attention in class. I started making bad choices. I started getting in trouble, feeling depressed, and living as if my life meant nothing. And it wasn't for the short term. That summer, I made some of the most impactful decisions of my life. I was ruining my life, living as if I had nothing to live for, and the life for me was already over with. Well, then I had this friend, and he got tired of seeing me waste my life, and he slapped me around, and he said, "Sheldon, you've got to wake up." And what he told me, I'll never forget. He said, "You have tomorrow and next week for the rest of your life, but you only get today once." It kind of confused me at first, but as we started hanging out, he started living that example. How often do we say, "Oh, I can do that tomorrow," or, "Oh, I'll try that team next year"? But how many times can we look back and say, "I took advantage of every opportunity that I had today"? You see, I had forgotten that. I was too busy feeling sorry for myself. No one else tried to help me out either, though. They didn't crawl in my shoes and walk around for a minute. They just assumed that everything was okay and that I wasn't hiding anything. They didn't realize the small things in my life had no purpose. They didn't realize my life had no focus. We failed to take the first action. Be all that you can be. You don't have to be the world's best doctor to help somebody. You don't have to be the world's smartest person to help somebody. You don't even have to make the most money. You just have to wake up in the morning and tell yourself that today is the day I am going to take advantage of every single opportunity that I have to change someone's life. You have to go out and be who you are. The Egyptian pyramids weren't built in a day. The world is not going to change overnight. You have to go out and be you for others. So the next time you see the kid that's all by himself, go up and talk to him. Or when you see the girl sitting in the corner with tears in her eyes, go ask what you can do to help her out. Many different things arise in our life that cause us to need help. Most of the time, we never get the help that we need. We are taught in our ag classes that we can go out and make a difference in this world. Yet how often do we see these same people walk by a helpless and needy person and not even give them a second thought? To truly make this world a better place to live, we must not only have compassion for the objects in this world, but for the people as well. We must take the second step. Do all that you can do. Well, how can you do all that you can do? We can be like Caitlin. Caitlin wakes up in the morning and realizes she's just a high school student like you or I. But when she gets up, she fights the battle against drugs. She talks to students her own age and tells them how drugs can ruin their life. She gets up in front of audiences of different ages, sizes, and genders and tells a story. She tells the story of a little girl whose father becomes more and more addicted to drugs. She reads diary entries of how the choices her father makes is ruining her life. You're sitting on the edge of your seat just praying for a happy ending when all of a sudden she says it's her and that those diary entries are her diary entries. Caitlin does all that she can do because she believes in what she does, but she puts her all into what she believes. We all need to be like Caitlin. Caitlin doesn't look down on herself or tell herself that I can't do that, but rather that today she is going to change just one person's life. Just one person's life. To do all that you can do doesn't mean that you go and make yourself busy, but rather you put your all into what you do. So the next time you see the lady across the street that needs help carrying her groceries in, don't complain. Just put a smile on your face and work as hard as you can so when you leave, she has a smile on hers. Or when your parents ask you to mow the lawn, don't skip out, don't grumble, don't whine, but rather mow that lawn to the best of your ability and make it look perfect. Make all that you do be perfect and be the best that you can be. Have the feeling that when you lay down at night, you gave all that you had today. Now that we've become all that we can do and become all that we can be, what comes next? I think if we look at a little word, we can figure it out. Compassion. What is compassion? Compassion is the giving of yourself without thought of you. The giving of yourself without thought of you. Earlier, I told you how I lost my little brother, and now I had that one friend that said, "You only have today once." Well, the story doesn't end there, guys. We started hanging out, we started getting real close, and I'll never forget, we went judging one day. And we were walking down the street, punching each other and telling jokes like guys do. When we walked past the cement staircase with a red rail that ran from the top all the way to the bottom, and sitting right here in this corner was this girl bawling her eyes out. I remember walking by thinking, wow, that's awkward. But as I got a little ways past, I stopped and I looked back. And when I looked back, I didn't see some random girl sitting on the steps crying. I saw myself. I saw the pain and the hurt and the feeling I got when people ignored my tears and acted as if I wasn't human. So I told my friends, hey, I'll catch up to y'all. And I sat beside her and said, can you tell me what's wrong? That's all it took. One person, to take the time out of their busy schedule to prove that the tears she was crying weren't worth crying. Just as my friend showed compassion on me, I was able to show compassion on someone else. I was able to change someone else's life just as someone else had changed my life. To make this world a better place takes compassion. You've got to realize this world isn't going to be a perfect place. You have to be willing to step back and sit down. Compassion is as important as bread is to a sandwich. To be compassionate means that your heart hurts and aches when you see someone crying on the steps or someone just needing help. I cried out to my brother, cried out to my family when I lost my brother. We cried out to each other. How many people would have just walked by my family and pretended like we didn't have any problems, like we didn't have any hurt? I'm just as guilty as everyone else is. I've had people reach out to me and didn't even give them the time of day. We've got to quit sitting idle and ignoring the fact that there are people out there needing help. Compassion is love. Love with all that you have. Love someone else and take the focus off of ourselves and on to someone else. Loving with all that you have is a simple step in being happy in this life. Take the focus off of ourselves. The feeling you get when you help someone else is irreplaceable. We are taught in ag to go out and make this world a better place. Yet rarely do we actually set out and do it. We start following those in front of us and pretending as if no one has any problems. The feeling you get is irreplaceable. Don't miss the opportunity to help someone else. You don't have to be perfect or even pretend that you're perfect. You just have to be willing to help someone else even when the odds terrify you. It's not giving anything away, but rather empowering someone else to be the best that they can be. Texas FFA, life is so short. You're only on this world for a small amount of time, and you never know when it's going to be your last. Tomorrow could be your last day. What kind of a message are you leaving behind? Our purpose in life can be obtained through 3 simple steps. Be all that you can be, do all that you can do, and love with all that you have. Faith, hope, and love are 3 things that He gave us. But the greatest of these is love. We have the chance to make this world a better place. We have the chance to change someone else's life. There are people all around us crying out for someone to stop. Texas FFA, when are we going to stop ignoring those that are around us and start changing this world? You have the chance. You have the tools. You have the power. Now go out and show this world just what you can do.